Hey, good afternoon, boys and girls, or good morning, depends on what time of day you're watching this. This is Mr. Bell, and today we're going to talk about comparing and ordering integers. I know you're probably getting tired of integers, but we're not quite done yet. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to compare and order integers, and the first question you might think is, Mr. Bell, how am I going to do this? Well, that's what I'm here to tell you. Okay, so how do you compare and order integers? Well, you graph the integers on the number line and then read them from left to right to order them from least to greatest. But if you also want to order them from greatest to least, then you would read the number line from right to left. So the example that we're going to do right now is dealing with ordering them from least to greatest. Okay, so here's our first example. Now I'm going to put some integers up here, and these are in no particular order. And I'm going to graph them on the number line, and then we're going to compare them and make sure they're in order. Okay, so the first number I want to graph is 4. So I go to my number line, I look at 0, which is right here, and I know because 4 is positive, it's going to go to the right of 0 on the number line. So 4 is right there. We're going to scratch that out because we're done with it. -1 is to the left of 0, so it's right there. Scratch that out. 6 is to the right of 0 because it's positive. It goes right there. 0 goes right there. -4 is to the left of 0 on the number line. Scratch that out. 5 is to the right. And finally, -3 is to the left. All right. So now I have them on the number line, and the number line itself allows me to say that they're in order, okay, from least to greatest if I go from right to left like this, okay? So if I read these numbers out, -4, -3, -1, 0, 4, 5, and 6, I know without a doubt that -4 is the smallest number and 6 is the largest number, okay, because they're on the number line, and I know this. If I want to go from greatest value to least value, then I would go from right to left. Okay, and I would say 6 is the biggest number and -4 is the smallest number. Okay, so that being said, the correct order of these numbers is -4, -3, -1, 0, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. So let's go to this next slide. It says, how is a number line used to compare and order integers? Well, we just did that, so you should know that. Okay, when the numbers are graphed, when the numbers are graphed on the number line, they are in order of their value. Okay, a horizontal number line, the one we just looked at, let me scoot this over just a tad, there we go. A horizontal number line is one that goes like this, okay, to the left and to the right. And if you read those numbers from least to greatest, from left to right, that's how you get that order, from least to greatest. It has to go from the left side to the right side. Okay? And if you want them in order from greatest, that means biggest number to the smallest number, greatest to least, then you read the number line from right to left. Okay? Now a vertical number line, kind of like what we've been using in class a lot. Okay? One that goes up and down like this. That we used on the temperature gauge. I remember drawing a temperature gauge on the board. We also used it on our above and below sea level models. Okay, so a vertical number line shows the numbers from least to greatest, starting at the bottom and working your way towards the top. Okay, that's from the smallest number to the largest number. But if you want to order them from greatest to least, biggest number to smallest number, then you start at the top and work your way down. And remember, it only counts for the numbers that you graphed. All right, so one last thing, I actually want to talk about ordering them and using something that you should be familiar with. It's called an inequality. And this was on that test that you were looking at, and you were like, Mr. Bell, what's an inequality? Well, this is an inequality. That means that two numbers are not equal. Okay, that's all an inequality is. And these are the symbols that we use to identify those inequalities. You have the less than symbol, and you have the greater than symbol. The less than symbol always points to the smaller number. Actually, they always point to the smaller number, but we just consider this one less than because that means the first number is less than the second number. We call this one greater than because the first number is bigger than the second number. Okay, so this point always points towards the smaller number. Also, the when I grew up, it was called the alligator mouth. Always opens up towards the bigger number because it wants to eat the bigger portion of food, I guess. So either way you want to memorize it, to remember which one is which, the better. You know, the point to the smaller number seems to work, but then some folks like the alligator. Okay, so these are the numbers that we just ordered on the number line. So if I was actually to compare them using these symbols, this is what I would do. I would say -4 is compared to -3. Okay, -4 is actually smaller than -3. Okay, so -4 is less than -3. The next one, -3 compared to -1. -3 is smaller than -1. Okay. And if I want to compare -1 to 0, -1 is less than 0. And now I'm comparing 0 to 4. 0 is smaller than 4. And if I want to compare 4 to 5, 4 is less than 5. I mean, these, when they're above 0, they're easy to do. When they're less than 0, it's a little tougher. Okay? All right. And then finally, 5 is less than 6. So that's using greater than and less than to, well, in this case, we'd use all just less than, but to compare the numbers and to actually see which one's bigger than the other. Okay? Just remember that when you're dealing with negatives, the bigger the number looks, I mean, if you don't consider the negative, the smaller it's actually going to be. So that's a little hard to remember. All right? But when you have positive numbers, the bigger the number, it's always going to be a bigger number. All right? Thank you.